She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies.
Give me every little detail.
Of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detail Therapy with Amy Landino.
No, and I didn't want to. I was struggling. It was a battle. Like, as we grow up, we become conditioned to believe certain things about who we should be. Mm-hmm. Some of that is based on actuality, what we love and what we like. And then part of it is also what our parents tell us in society. And some of it is like, we've just climbed so high on that ladder already.
You're already up it.
You're already up it. Like, imagine your life. You're climbing a ladder. The higher you go, the tighter you grab onto it. You look down. It's scary.
Welcome back to Detail Therapy. We're in season 2. How exciting. That was my friend Pat Flynn, an incredible guy, podcaster, and entrepreneur that I'm going to be introducing you to in just a little bit. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. Get ready. First, how you can do a little bit of spring cleaning in your life to spruce up the mood at home. How getting laid off from his job helped Pat Flynn create his best ever dream job, and how to beat oversaturation if you want to start something that you feel has already been done. Oh, and I should mention we're going to do a giveaway, so make sure you stay until the end. We have quite a bit to get into today, but I wanted to take a moment and say thank you so much for coming back to Detail Therapy for season 2. I appreciate you. And if you're new, hello. My name is Amy Landino, and I will be the host of this show for you at your service. I'm a YouTube creator, professional speaker, best-selling author, and entrepreneur in business for the last decade. It's been a long time. I'm getting old. You can find out more details about me by visiting youtube.com/AMYTV. And in fact, I recommend you do. If you subscribe there, it's a great complement to what we talk about here on Detail Therapy. I said this in the first episode ever. I'm bringing it back. Jim Rohn is an amazing entrepreneur, speaker, and motivator who is no longer with us, but he used to say something that resonates with me every single day. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I try to incorporate this in everything that I do, both on YouTube and with this podcast. And specifically in this podcast, we talk to all different walks of life about lots of different things, lots of stages of success. And so hopefully there is something for you each week that continues to motivate you and take you to the next level, even if the next level is just having a little bit brighter outlook in how you do things right now. We are going to do quite a bit of this connecting today. Later, we'll be talking with Pat Flynn. But first, I want to bring my friend from episode 7 of Detail Therapy, Christy Lingo, back onto the show. Throughout April, every episode this month, she is going to be sharing a little spring cleaning tip with you so that you can start increasing your happy at home and organizing your life. So let's get into this week's tip in spring cleaning with Lingo. Okay, it's time for spring cleaning with Lingo. We have Christy Lingo from SimpleSolutionsOrganizing.com. How are you, Christy?
I'm doing so well. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so pumped to be doing this with you. It's my first little intermittent segments that we're doing on the show. And so today, let's talk about something relatable for everybody, I think, when it comes to organizing. It's 2019. Can we get rid of the paper in our lives?
Amen, sister. I am so on that train with you. It is kind of crazy. So I looked up a stat. There are 485 million pieces of mail delivered daily to American homes. Okay,
just make it stop.
Yeah, so much paper. And, how much of that? I think 1 million of that is coming into my house personally, I feel like sometimes.
You counted. 1, 2.
Yeah, exactly. But there's just a lot out there. And then, if you're in school, say you're a college student, you've got tons of papers that are related there. If you're a parent, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you about all of the papers you have when you're a parent. So one thing that I really like to encourage people to do is to make a place to put all of this paper. And I understand too, we all have busy lives, so you may not be able to just process it and do it all in that moment. So maybe what you need is some sort of a basket or an intake bin that you're going to put the mail into, or the school papers into when it comes into the house, and then maybe a secondary place like a filing cabinet or a memory box or something like that you're going to put it into after you have processed it.
Okay, so good chance to use the label maker here then, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is where it goes, and stick to it. Make yourself that little rule and just like start moving in that direction.
Absolutely. And the other thing, when you're kind of looking at this paper and setting up these stations for yourself, pare down the stuff that you don't need. You know, you really want to try to touch these papers as few times as possible. So again, back to the idea of the mail. When you bring the mail in the house, chances are like 2/3 of it is stuff you aren't going to use. You know, toss those oil change coupons, toss the things you're not going to use immediately into the recycling bin so that what goes in that processing place is stuff that you actually are going to want to look at. You know, maybe you still get statements, which, come on, people, go to the online route.
Paperless billing, y'all.
If you don't ever go back in that file drawer and get those statements out, get rid of them. You know, a typical file drawer holds between 1,500 and 2,500 pieces of paper. So imagine that if you have a 4-drawer filing cabinet in your house, you have 10,000 pieces of paper. Are you ever going to look at those?
And why would you want to take up that much space in your house with a filing cabinet? You know, I love that you just said this because I feel really fortunate that we have like a mail room where I live. And in that mail room, they have sort of like a table in the middle that you can kind of sort through your stuff, and they have huge trash bins. So I definitely love that. I mean, even if you don't have a mailroom, you should be thinking, let's open the mail by the trash can. And as soon as we see something that is absolutely a flyer or an ad, it just goes into the bin.
Same thing with me. We have a recycling bin in our kitchen, and I'll walk in, I'll throw the recycling in the recycling, I put the shred in the shred, and I kid you not, on a daily basis, I don't even open mail. Very few things that come into my house will actually get processed because I don't need most of it. Most of my stuff is paperless. But for those things that you do have sticking around that you need to process, make sure you schedule time to do it, because if you just let that bin grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, it's going to become overwhelming. So maybe weekly, go through, open the stuff up, file the stuff that needs filed, pay the bills that need to be paid, take care of the stuff that's in there on a regular basis so that you don't have it just sort of hanging around and hanging over your head. Because like anything, the more it piles up, the more you get behind, the harder it's going to be to tackle it.
And you know what? This is going to be my chance to give a little tip too. If that sounds annoying, call it something fun. I personally like the name Power Hour. I don't remember who I got that from, but I've heard it in the circles of motivation and scheduling. If it's like, oh, I have to schedule time to go through my mail bin, call it your Power Hour. Go through all those pieces, pay the bills, throw things out, just like you said, throw more things out. And what do you think about if somebody's like, I don't know if I want to part with this. It's going to be important. That thing that we keep saying to ourselves when we're like, ooh, like I might need this someday. Is there something that we can do other than just these physical things to document something and say, we don't have to have the hard copy? There's not very many things we need a hard copy of.
Right. So my standard thing is, if it's really, really hard to replace, don't get rid of it. Social security cards, birth certificates, marriage certificates, anything that you're going to have to go down to a government office to replace, original stock certificates, mortgage documents, anything that's like that, keep hard copies on hand. Insurance policies, I like to keep mine on hand just because it's easy to reference them and not have to go in and get them out. But if you can go to your credit card company or your electric company and just download that statement, don't worry about keeping it on hand. Chances that you're going to need it are very, very slim. And when you do need it, you can access it fairly quickly. So don't worry about it. If you have not gone and gotten your gas bill out in the last 7 years, chances are you're not going to need it.
I don't even know what that looks like.
So then you don't really need to keep that copy on hand. So just know that you can get that information very, very easily. So it's okay to let it go. Lingo says it's okay. Let it go.
Great tips from Lingo, spring cleaning with Lingo. And you can find Christy at simplesolutionsorganizing.com. You can also find her on episode 7 of Detail Therapy. So go and check that out. What are you working on right now? What are you excited about?
I really want everyone to come check me out on my Cocktails and Containers podcast. It's so much fun. We talk about home organizing tips, and I also give you a cocktail recipe. And we have done some great cocktails going into spring. We've got tequila, raspberry, lime, mint cocktails, and I've got a gin, lime, mint cocktail. I got a gin, lime, or a lime mint thing going on right now.
Yeah.
But lots of fun cocktails, lots of great organizing tips for your spring. It's just a good time.
Awesome. Well, I will link to that in the show notes, and we'll see you on the next episode for more spring cleaning.
Woohoo!
Shout out to Lingo for that hot spring cleaning tip today. Make sure you stay tuned next week for her next tip and pop over to her socials. Let her know what you thought. But for now, we need to get into my chat with my next guest. Today, I'm sitting down with Pat Flynn. Pat is one of the OG business podcasters talking entrepreneurship on his hugely successful podcast, Smart Passive Income. I know you've seen it in the charts. I know you have heard this podcast. It's amazing. He's the author of the Wall Street Journal bestseller, Will It Fly, and an upcoming book, Superfans. Most recently, though, he is the co-inventor of the Kickstarter project, The Switch Pod, a super handy on-the-go tripod for vloggers that reached its $100,000 goal in just 12 hours and has gone on to raise more than $400,000. He's a dear friend of mine and has been a great mentor to me in a lot of ways, but it wasn't always this amazing for Pat Flynn. In this conversation, we talk about what happens when you get laid off from your dream job, your life plan, and have to figure out what's next. Let's get into my chat with Pat Flynn. Little disclaimer here. We were at a conference, and when we started this conversation, it was very quiet. And then things changed a little bit. So please forgive the background noise. There's people walking around for a little bit of this conversation, but I promise you, it's totally worth it. Pat Flynn in the house. I'm interviewing the podcast guy.
The podcast guy.
The podcast
How did I become
guy.
the podcast
Just,
guy?
I don't know. That's what we're going to ask you about. Before I can ask you that, tell me your why. Why do you create?
I create because I want to make the world a better place. And it's because other people's creations have made me become a better person. And I'm just trying to pay it forward. For example, I was laid off in 2008 from the architecture industry, and it was somebody's creation, actually a podcast, that gave me the idea to start up my business. And my business took off, and it changed my life, and it allows me now to stay at home with my family and walk the kids to school and pick them up and all that stuff. Somebody's creation helped save me at the most depressing time of my life when I was laid off from my dream job. And all I can think of now is like, there's other people out there going through stuff right now that maybe I can help. And that's just the way the world works to me.
So much in that. Just first of all, just like architecture as your dream job. Like, let's just like unpack that. The stages of our lives that we think we've got everything figured out, right? I would think that today your idea of a dream job is something that gives you freedom.
Yes.
But what were you doing? Like, what made you decide to go down that path? How did you start to go into architecture? Why was that your dream job at the time? What was the season of your life like?
Well, you know, I was born, and then I started playing.
Wow, so it was that soon, huh?
With Legos that day. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, really, what I love about architecture and what gravitated me toward it was the idea of working on something, building something, and then actually seeing people like in it and use it and sleep in it and raise their families in it and dine in it and all that stuff. And it's like kind of the idea that like you can kind of be in the background, and like when you think about it, like Amy, if I were to ask you like who built the home that you live in, or this building that we're in right now, or all of you listening, who is the architect in your house? Like nobody knows unless it was like, it was my grandpa, like in 1900 or something. Nobody knows. And I liked that because I was a very shy person. I just wanted to kind of be behind the scenes and have my work be known, but not me be known. And it was a very rewarding thing to work on a project, and then there's the day when everybody goes in and they're just like looking around the building and they're using it, and that's cool. And that's what made me fall in love with projects, creating things to a point where they could be stopped creating, and I could just give them to whoever they were meant for.
Did it come supernatural to you? Like, was it one of those things where you're like, I have to do this because I'm good at it? Just to give a little context, I had a very dear friend since like kindergarten who I remember going to art class with. And I always remember this even more vividly because my mom was a teacher in the district I went to. And so the art teacher is her best friend. And my friend Lewis was the best artist you'd ever seen. We're all making like clay mugs, and he's making a mug that has the face of a dragon. And
like
we're
on
just
another
trying to
level.
get one that's round, you know?
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where he was destined to become an architect, and he did. So is it kind of like that? Like, did you have like natural skills that it was like, this is very obviously the answer, so I must?
No.
Or it was not? It was
No.
just like, really, I'm excited about it.
I've just really loved the idea of seeing buildings and walking through them and creating them. That's it.
So you still had the audacity at that point to just admire something so much to become obsessed with it that you wanted to try to do it.
I wanted to try to do it, and then when it came my junior year of high school, when we had to make a choice to what school we wanted to get into and what our major was going to be, it was a pretty obvious choice for me to give architecture a try. And so I applied, and I got in, and I went to architecture school. I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a year and see if this is actually the profession I want. And I fell in love with it. I just fell in love with the history. I fell in love with the practice of it. I fell in love with studios late at night and working on models and drawing things and not having any social contact with anybody else outside of that space. And I just loved it. And like I would wear my X-Acto knife scars proud from all the late nights. It was my badge of honor. And I just fell in love with it. I wanted to be a world famous architect and well known in the architecture space.
Okay, fast forward. You get your dream job. How long were you at your dream job before you got let go?
5 years.
Was that like, so that was the longest, if not the only gig you had in the industry, right?
Yes, exactly. So
how do you go from being so in love with something and then like it coming to a full stop, and you made like it's not really a pivot, like you needed a wake-up call, and I think it sounds like that podcast you're talking about was a big wake-up call. But did you know you were going to get away from architecture at that point in time?
No, and I didn't want to. I was struggling. There was a battle. As we grow up, we become conditioned to believe certain things about who we should be. Some of that is based on actuality, what we love and what we like, and then part of it is also what our parents tell us and society, and some of it is like we've just climbed so high on that ladder already.
You're already up it.
You're already up it. Like imagine your life. You're climbing a ladder. The higher you go, the tighter you grab onto it. You look down. It's scary. So you don't want to fall. So you grab tighter. So even though yes, I got laid off, I got pushed off that ladder, but to me, I was on that ladder. And I had this opportunity to go into another space and build my own business. And even after this business I created, which was actually related to architecture, is helping people pass an exam in the architecture space, it was making $25,000 a month.
Wow.
And I've hardly told anybody this. I was still looking for architecture jobs. I still went in for interviews.
Why was that? Do you think that was like secretly imposter syndrome, trying to say like, this ain't gonna last, buddy?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Who am I to create a business? I didn't go to business school.
Right.
Who am I to...
How are you qualified, sir?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I went to school for 5 years. I don't want to throw that away. I don't want to let my parents down who paid me through college.
Right.
This is what I said I was going to do however many years ago, so I have to stick with it now. And it wasn't until March of 2009, business was going very well, still going in for interviews. My boss, who let me go, calls me up. He goes, Pat, I don't know how you're doing, but I hope things are going well. And I was like, things are actually going a lot better than I thought. And he goes, well, Pat, I have an opportunity for you. I started my own firm. I brought some of your friends with me, and we had the same clients that we had when we let you go. Like, let's do this together. I'm going to give you a pay raise. I'm going to give you an office in the corner of the building, and I'm going to pay your rent for free for a year.
Whoa.
And two.
Meanwhile, you're also applying for jobs while also having this business, right?
Right.
Like, that's wild.
But here's the craziest thing. Something in me told him, thanks, but no thanks.
Wow.
And I hardly even gave it any thought. And then I hung up the phone, and I said, why did I say no to, like, that would have been my dream. I must be something else now. And that was my step from one ladder to the next. And it was sort of like, so imagine yourself climbing a ladder, and there's another ladder that's cooler and a lot more opportunity next to you. So you grab on, and you have two hands and 1 foot on it, but the other foot is still on the other ladder. You can't climb that new ladder unless you fully let go of that other foot.
You can very slowly climb both and probably fall at some point.
And then one of them would likely end, and then you'd either have to keep it there. So that was the moment my foot went all in on the entrepreneurial ladder.
So you were all in. At that point, you had started a business related to the industry, but was obviously selling a completely different product.
Right.
What happens from there? Is that where podcasting, the podcaster Pat Flynn, is that where that came into play, or was it more you're experimenting with different types of businesses and the podcast came later?
Well, I had that business, and it was primarily a blog.
Okay.
And I knew blogging way back from actually college when I had a Zanga blog.
Oh my God.
Do you remember
what?
Zanga?
No, I don't.
You don't know Zanga?
I don't think so. I always tell everybody I had a
Xanga.
GeoCities blog.
Oh, well, that's old
That's
school, too.
my OG blog.
I had a Zanga blog.
I don't know what that is.
And I would talk to people about, this is how I was able to like talk to my parents without actually talking to them. Like, here's what I did. Here's like,
Tell me more. I'm
here's
introverted.
the band
Go.
trip we went on. Here's like I was on the crew and I was like, this is the regatta we were at, and that's it. But that's why I knew like, oh, content online is kind of cool. And so I started blogging, and it was actually the blog that helped the architecture business get started. So I started another blog because I had a bunch of my architecture friends go, Pat, like, how did you build your own thing? How did you survive this layoff? I'm just like eating scraps here. Can you show me? And I was like, I don't know how I did it, but I'm going to share everything. And I'm going to show you how I made the websites, all the tools I used, what I'm learning about Google and research and SEO and all that stuff. And I'm going to share how much money I'm making too, because this, like, I need to pay it forward.
Yeah.
And it was right after I started that blog, I committed to starting a podcast because I knew, like I said earlier, it was a podcast that changed my life. And I was like, I need to share this message that I'm now learning about myself and where my new life is at with others. Mm-hmm. And I have to do it in a podcast because that's the most intimate way to share content, in my opinion. Because I built a relationship with these hosts of this other podcast, and I never even met them. So I wanted to do the same thing. So what I did was on my blog, very small blog, it was called the Smart Passive Income blog. I recorded my very first audio file, and I put it online. It was like, guys, I bought all this equipment. I'm going to start a podcast. Get ready for it. And my first episode came out a year and a half later. After I made this big announcement and like got everybody excited. And it was because I was scared about what people would say about it. A blog was so much easier because I could hide behind my keyboard and those words. I didn't want to open up for, people to say things about my voice. Like, I was afraid about what people would say about my voice. And the tech stuff. It was like very techie, and I was not a super techie person. I was like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I'm going to go back to blogging. And so I just stuck with the blog for a year and a half. And it wasn't until I finally met a few people, Cliff Ravenscraft and Jason Van Orden, who were like, you have to do this. You have to do it. And so they helped me. They gave me some consultation. I got it up, and I recorded my first episode 3 times, because the first time it was crap. The second time I scripted the whole thing because I was like, oh, that first time was really bad. I'm going to write every word. That's how I'm going to solve this problem. It took like 3 days.
That's natural.
Yeah, it took like 3 days, and I read it, and I like fell asleep when I listened to it because it was like,
oh gosh.
Hi, my name is Pat Flynn. Welcome to the show. It was really bad. And the third time I just said, screw it. I'm just going to put it up and see what happens. And I haven't stopped since. I now have 5 different podcasts, over 1,300 episodes recorded, 65 million downloads, have generated over $1.5 million as a result of the podcasts. And now I'm teaching podcasting, and I'm speaking about it, and all this amazing stuff has happened since.
I feel like I've been following your journey for so long. You probably get that a lot. I mean, you've really been in this industry for such a long time, and it's so incredible. Like, I feel like when you probably feel this way about whoever inspired you at the very beginning, right? Like, maybe you met them at some point, or maybe they gave you a piece of advice, or maybe you collaborated on something, and it's like being able to sit down with somebody I've been following for a long time who's really made their mark and actually is in this for the right reasons, and therefore has been able to hang for this long. It's really cool, and I just want you to know that first and foremost, because we all have that. I feel like that's the common denominator with all of us. We all thought we were supposed to do something at one point in time, whether we were passionate about it or not. You're one of the lucky ones who was super passionate about what you were doing, and you were following a path, and your parents were proud, and that whole thing, right? And then like this crazy thing happens where you get your own ideas about something else, and it's a little scary, and you followed through on that, and it's just so. I feel like everyone has that moment, and it's a matter of, do you take the opportunity? Do you take the risk and opportunity, or not? And that's crazy. Just like we haven't even tapped into most of the things that you're now doing today. The podcasts have just made such I feel like a lot happen because you finally took that chance and published after a year and a half.
And guess what? I still hate the sound of my voice.
Sure. I don't like seeing my face on camera, and here we are. Like.
And for you, like, I'm so proud of all the stuff that you. I mean, the common. You want to talk about common denominators? We've been persistent. And we've been experimental. Mm-hmm. We've been trying things to see, well, let's see if this works. Let's see. And you've found your groove now. And it's It's so
it's
cool.
thank you, and it's so fun. And I'm glad you said that because it's almost like it's so easy to tell people that, like, just be consistent, be persistent. Just keep showing up, keep showing up. But it's so true. The number of times I've seen people come in and out of spaces that I've been in, or industries, or whatever, and it's just sort of like I'm usually looking at their staying power.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to have not just the drive, but do they have the ability to see far enough into the future with their community and with their purpose that's going to keep them in this? And clearly you're very, very clear on that. How many books have you published?
I've published, if you don't count the architecture study guide that I published.
I count it.
Okay, then 3.
Okay, that's a
And
lot.
I have another one coming.
So tell me
finally.
about the new book, because that's exciting.
Yeah, thank you. So Will It Fly was my other book, my latest book, and self-published, became a Wall Street Journal bestseller. I don't even know
Amazing.
how.
They didn't tell you?
It was amazing. And we did some fun experiments with that book, too. Like,
awesome.
on one weekend, I don't even know if you know this. One weekend, I sent an email to all my subscribers, and I said, hey, guys, go to Barnes & Noble and ask for my book. It's not there, but just ask.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of people don't know that. They think that, the book is available at Barnes & Noble, but sometimes it's only available online. But if you go into a store and you request it,
Yeah.
they will order it.
That's what they said. And I was like, let's try it out.
Yeah.
So I had like 600 people go out all on the same day to all their local Barnes & Nobles and ask for it. And then I had them like snap a photo with the
To
person
prove
they were
they were-
asking it. Yeah, it was funny. And I got some back that were like disgruntled Barnes & Noble people who were like, what is this guy taking a picture for?
Yeah.
But like 2 months went by, like nothing happened. And all of a sudden I go into a Barnes & Noble down south of where I live, and I'm like, let's go in the business section. And I saw my book there.
Oh my God! Did you die?
I died, but before I got it though, I saw like the spine of it, right? And I was like, what is
No,
it
is that
doing
this-
here? I was like, did I like secretly
put this
place- Yeah,
here?
right. No, but then my family was with me, so I was like, kids, come here. And in 2012, I posted a video, I posted a blog post that said one of my goals in my life is to bring my kids to the bookstore and show them my book on the shelves. And that was like, I'm
was
sorry, I'm
it.
like crying right now.
Yeah.
Like I brought him over and I actually took my phone out and filmed. I was like, do you guys see anything on the shelf here? Let me see. And my son goes, Daddy, that's your book. And I was like, yeah, grab it. And he's like playing with it. And I was just like crying. And
Now
then-
go buy it, son.
Yeah. He was like, who should we sell it to? And I'm like, oh my God, I love you.
Walk up to somebody in the store and say, "This is the author of this book."
Well, and then I went to the little booth over there, and they were like, oh, you're the author? That's cool. Can I see some ID, please? And I was like, okay, here's my ID. I'm like, oh, cool. And then they put a little sticker on it that said, like, autographed by author, and then I got to sign it and put it back.
Oh, so
Which
you
is
help
pretty
them
cool.
make more money.
Yeah.
fantastic.
So anyway, that's Will It
So
Fly.
what's
So I had a lot of fun with that
That was
book.
an excellent book. I got so much.
Thank you.
People were telling me about that. I mean, like I knew about it, but I just loved hearing from others. Like I read Will It Fly? It helped me so much to understand. Is my thing actually going to take off? Is my product or whatever this
Yeah,
thing
is
that
my
they were
idea
working-
a good one or
is
not,
this idea
basically.
good? And it's funny, like. How many resources are there about that? That was a big problem solver. But your
Thank you.
next book is called Super Fans.
Super fans.
Super Fans.
So-
There's a theme song and everything.
No, I just made it up, but
I
maybe
like
there
it.
is now.
I think we need to make that
So
happen.
Super Fans is my sort of, for me, what has really helped me take my business to the next level is not paying for ads and more traffic and focusing on the granular essence of search engine optimization. What has helped my business grow are the people who are in my business. And so this is my thesis and my pleas to everybody who's building any sort of following. You need to focus on providing memorable experiences for your people the moment they find you. They could be very small, but they grow and they stick with you. And the story that I tell in the book relates to my wife, because my wife is a huge fan of the Backstreet Boys. She's
Okay,
a huge
relatable.
BSB fan, which me being an NSYNC fan, somehow we ended up together. But she's a big BSB fan, so I asked her one night, like, how did you, like, where did this even start? Like, she's a crazy fan. She said, where does this even start? So she tells me the whole story about the first time she remembers, like, paying attention to this group. And she was in her bedroom. She had just broken up with her boyfriend, and she was crying, and she turned on the radio full blast and then quit playing games with My Heart Was Playing, right? And every single
So
word
good.
in that song was like relating to everything she was going through. And she's like, these guys know exactly what I'm going through. Now, they're very smart. They know their target market, girls between 12 and 18. What happens between 12 and 18 for girls? They fall in love and they break up. So let's write songs about them.
Or they never get them in the first place.
Yeah, well,
and it sucks.
So she's telling me the story, and
Maybe
then
that
it
was
all
just
leads
me.
into that. At the end of the night, she goes, Pat, I need to show you something. And I was like, this is not what I want to hear after 2 hours of talking about Backstreet Boys. I was like, what tattoo do you have that I don't know exists or something? Like where you move your arm and like the boys start dancing or something. I have no idea what's going to happen. So she goes to the closet, pulls out this big giant box, and all her memorabilia is in there.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
And it's just like bobbleheads and action figures and like a framed photo of freaking Nick Carter is in there. And I'm just like, this is wicked. So I started getting really interested in like, how do people become crazy fans of things? And the truth is, it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
But when you earn them, and you don't need very many, there's a very famous essay by a man named Kevin Kelly called 1,000 True Fans. You only need really 1,000. If you had 1,000 true fans who loved every single thing that you did, your art, your music, your work, your passion, whatever, and they pay you $100 a year for that, to get access to that or to support you. I mean, that's not even that much money. We pay 100 plus for cable that we don't even watch.
So
It's like, that's 100 times 1,000. That's your six-figure income right there, right? So you just need 1,000 true fans. And when you build for true fans, something amazing happens. They become your top ambassadors. They become the defenders of trolls in the world. They won't even let you see the trolls because they're your barrier, your defense barrier. They're going to buy every single thing you come out with. They're going to drive 12 hours to hear you play a set for 5 minutes because they just love you so much. And they're going to help you grow your business. And it's free to provide those experiences. And I think that in this day and age where everybody's building a business, we're so focused on the sexy things like traffic and subscriber numbers and just growing those numbers. And there's actual human beings who are waiting for uniqueness, something special in their lives. And if you can give it to them, they're going to grow with you and help you grow even more and spread your message. And then you get to make movements with that.
It's so big because I actually just got done talking about this with my friend Brian Fanzo on the other podcast that I have, Just Try This. And it's
show,
this,
by the way.
thank you. It's such an important point because we all have goals for ourselves, right? And that's okay. We need to know about ourselves. We need to know what we want. And that's going to help us be able to do better work for everybody else. But the people that we do work for, that's what we need to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about this is if you're truly focused on building a super fan, in my opinion, you're the expert because you wrote a book on it, but with building a super fan is the unbelievable focus on what they need and what they want from you and focusing your energy and how to best solve those problems for them, even if it's just to sing a song that's relatable to them so that they feel they're not alone. That is so big, but that is the focus on them. That is not the focus on yourself. So there's people that I feel like they'd love the idea of having super fans, but they don't understand what it actually means to nurture an audience of what could potentially be super fans because they're more focused on the status of
That's
themselves
such a
at
good
that point.
word to nurture, because that nurturing somebody takes time. You can't raise a kid in a day, right? It takes a lifetime to do it. But with fans, there are certain things you can do to activate a person to go, that's somebody I should pay attention to, because that's step one. They need to, like, if you're walking down the street and you see a penny, you notice it, but you just might keep going. If you were a shiny quarter, though, you might get a person to stop. But if you're $1, more value there, you're going to get picked up. But the other part of this is, well, they put you in your pocket. How do you become remembered? And so a lot of what I talk about in the book are those activation moments. So I talk about a chapter about sharing the right lyrics to your music, just like the Backstreet Boys, right? Like you have a message that you're trying to share. How can you say the same things that are in the minds of your people so that they go, that's my girl, or that's my guy. Like they get me.
Yeah.
And they understand what I'm going through. Therefore, they must have a solution for me, right? That's where it starts. It starts with quick wins, but then it grows into the community and not just you connecting with them connecting with you, but it's them connecting with each other. This is where you get the like fans of Taylor Swift. They all call themselves Swifties, right? And fans of Justin Bieber are believers, and they're believers, and the One Directioners, and John Lee Dumas says Fire Nation.
Yeah.
Do your people have a name?
You know, it's no, I don't know about that. Actually, they may have given themselves a name. Not really sure. But you know what? It's funny. Like sometimes I think about that stuff, but other times I just kind of let it ride because if I start to step into that too much, I feel like I'm not focusing on the one person the way I'm really good at. So the original name for my YouTube channel, though, I used to say, "What's Up Socials."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so I think it is helpful in some ways to just like, oh yeah, that's a tribe of people who decided to come together around a common denominator, and that common denominator is you. But you had to do something in order for them to find their
Right.
commonalities within
But
each
then
other.
when they're in that community, what do they experience?
Yeah.
Belonging.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're invested because they found their people. And you as the leader are bringing those people together.
I think that's super important. It's what you don't know maybe is that a previous episode of this podcast with my best friend Sarah, we talked about the word tribe. And I'm the one that said it here in this situation, but I feel like this is the time where it is the right definition. We were kind of picking it apart because it's so easy to say find your tribe. And as a person who's just like trying to just not even necessarily as a brand trying to figure that out, it can be a little bit overwhelming, like you're supposed to find your spot. But that's not what it is. It's on the people who you are attracted to make you feel welcome, to make you feel belonging. And I feel like that's really what Superfans is all about, creating a tribe that is natural to the people who feel compelled by what you do and what you talk about.
Our good buddy Chris Ducker says your vibe attracts your tribe. You can't go find a tribe.
Yeah.
But you be you, and you put yourself out there. You get over that fear, and your tribe will find you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to link. I thank you for bringing up 1,000 True Fans, because I think that is such an incredible blog post essay.
It's a timeless post.
I'm going to put that in the show notes for people to check out, because I feel like that is still a big number, but it's a number, if anyone's ambitious enough to go after it, that it's something that they can probably wrap their mind around if they read that. And also,
here's that number. Less than 3 years, 1 fan a day.
Wow.
That'll get you to 1,000. So can you
breaking it down, Pat Flynn?
Can you create a fan, 1 fan a day?
If you're a good
for
human,
less than
I
3
think
years?
so. Yeah.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
can create multiple a day. There's your perspective.
Love that. I love that. Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm also going to link to your upcoming book. But we have to talk about this crazy anomaly. I think this circles us back to architecture somehow, because you just came out with a physical product that is
did.
not a book. And that is the Switch Pod, which is so fun for like my vlogging world. And you know I wrote a book about vlogging. So can you tell everyone what the Switch Pod is?
So the Switch Pod is a tripod that switches from vlogger mode, handheld mode, to tripod in seconds.
Yeah.
And it is there to serve the vlogger audience who is walking around with those Gorilla Pods, right? We were at, my buddy Caleb and I, my co-inventor, friend and colleague, we were at Vid Summit, Daryl Leaves' event in 2017, and we were brand new to the YouTube space. I mean, I've been on YouTube for a while, but I wanted to take it seriously, and we just noticed something really interesting. Everybody who was there had a Gorilla Pod, but not only did they have one of those Gorilla Pods, and if you don't know what a Gorilla Pod is, it's one of those tripods that have flexible legs.
And everybody asks you what it is when you take it in public if they don't know what it is, because it looks weird.
It does look very weird, and I've heard it called many things.
Yes, we won't get into that.
But we also noticed everybody like struggling with them, like to bend them to certain direction.
Because they're strong, but that means you have to use strength to, really
right. And I'm
work
not
them.
strong, so I'm like, I'm never going to use that. And so what vloggers have done has taken this thing that's flexible and turn it into a tool that they needed to have the camera further out. But then when you want to put it down, you kind of like have to struggle to open it. And me being OCD, I'm like, I want all the legs straight. So I'll be there like ball by ball, like making sure they're all straight. And like 20 minutes later, it's fine. So we just were like, there's got to be a better way. So then we worked with our buddy Richie from Product, and he helps entrepreneurs take their ideas and turn them into physical products. First prototype was a piece of cardboard just to get the right shape. Next prototype was 3D printed that actually moved, and we're like, no, do this, or do this. And we had a prototype that we then went to another video event. It was a crappy piece of thing, and we were like, here, vlogger, what do you think? Just to hear what they would say. Is this a green light we keep going, or is it a red light we shouldn't even be playing here right now? And we kept getting green light after green light after green light of people loving this, saying things like, how has this not been invented yet? So that gave us the green light to go and upgrade the prototypes. It then became metal. We started to work on the manufacturing, and we planned for this Kickstarter campaign. We connected with a number of influencers. Casey Neistat has seen it. Peter McKinnon has seen it. He even did a video for it when it launched.
That's awesome.
It just blows our mind that building something so specific for a group of people, because there's some people who go, man, that's not as good as the Gorilla Pod because this thing can't wrap around trees. And we're like, we don't want it
By the way, who is wrapping a tripod around trees?
Nobody.
Just quick question. I've never felt the need to wrap a tripod with a camera on
if you
around
want to do
a
that,
tree.
go get the Gorilla Pod
Go
because
get
it's
the-
amazing
yeah,
for
sure,
that.
sure.
But that's not what we're building for. We're building this to make creating easier for creators.
Right.
That's our mission now.
Who are likely walking around some place that may not have a tree anywhere near or
Right.
convenient for
and
any
they
reason.
also are embarrassed about holding a bunch of balls in their hands.
I love this because for a lot of reasons, it just to sum it up, you solved a problem. Like this is the tripods that are on the market. It just sort of depends on, in my opinion, I like to have like a pretty small one because I don't care for the Gorilla Pod that much. It's a lot of work. And also I just need something that can snap out and go.
Yeah.
And that's really what this does. And it also gives you height, which I definitely don't have because I try to go with whatever I can get to just snap and go. But it's like a huge problem that you've solved for this particular community with huge reception.
Yeah.
Huge reception.
So we had a Kickstarter campaign goal of $100,000, which is a lot. This is like, this is going to be
It's a
tough
lot
to
of
reach
money.
because we need to pay money for the creation of the molds so that we can actually start stamping these out essentially when they get manufactured. So $100,000. We launched the campaign and we hit our goal in 11 hours and 26 minutes.
Unbelievable.
And me and Caleb were just like, we have no idea how to react. We're just like, holy bejesus, this is like, we had no idea.
Yeah.
And we're currently, at this moment in time, with a few days left, over $360,000 of people's votes with their money that they need this thing.
It's insane.
And we're getting companies asking us to talk to their buyers at their retail stores. We're like, whoa.
Hello, we need this.
Wow, we didn't even know this was that big of an itch.
Yeah.
And now we got the bug, though.
That's great.
That's the hard. Like, so we got the bug. We're like, all right, accessory number 1, accessory number 2.
Yeah.
But we have to go. Okay, stop.
Nail the one.
We got these backers. We promised them a great product. Let's focus on that because if we do that, they'll be fans for
ready.
life.
They'll be ready for the next thing.
You know?
They'll be loving their Switch Pod and they'll come right back for what's next.
My goal with this is to walk down the street of a random location that I've never been to before and just see like a kid holding it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like.
It is so the speed of a kid too.
Oh
like
yeah,
this thing,
my kid uses this.
You guys, I'm going to link to it so you can watch a video of how it works. And I just love the video that you did with Caleb where he switched his out and you're like trying to make yours. You were showing the competition between the two types of tripods. It really gives you the perspective on why this solves a problem. So
Yeah.
I will definitely link to that.
thank you.
But we got to get into the details, okay?
Yeah.
You have clearly come a long way in a lot of years with a lot of different things. We're talking about physical products now. You've got lots of online businesses. You help food truckers. Like the diversity of portfolio is really
It's kind of
impressive.
diverse and weird. Yep.
But you've got to have focus. You've got to have something that pulls your focus together. So I want to hear sort of like what that looks like for you. Can you tell me what time do you typically wake up in the morning? What's your morning
You're
like?
asking me now, or are you asking who I was like a few years back? 'Cause
I wanna
it's
know-
completely different.
Okay, well, you seem to be very productive today, so I want to know about today, but if you've got some perspective to bring.
Well, today I wake up at 5 a.m.
Okay.
I wake up fairly early for most standards, but that's because I focus on myself first. Quick story, I was a night owl. I was ever since I was an architect, because architects stay up late at night to get their stuff done, right? And I would usually go to bed, even after having kids. I would do all my work after they finally went down and get everything done between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. That was my work time. That was my alone time to be creative and finally get things done. And I'd be focused on the kids all day. But this guy named Hal Elrod sends me this book called Miracle Morning. And I'm like, Miracle Morning? Really? I'm going to put this away.
Okay, Hal.
Yeah, Hal Elrod. Yo, pal, Hal. And
Love
I
Hal
put it
Elrod.
away. 6 months later, I hear Tim Ferriss on his show go, you guys got to have a morning routine. He starts asking every single person on his show about morning routines and just how amazing productivity in the morning can be. I heard Tony Robbins talk about it, all these other people. So I said, well, I have to at least give it a shot. I haven't given it a chance. So, okay, Hal, let me find this book, blow the dust off, open it up, read it. It's a short read. Okay, I'm going to do his savers. I'm going to do silence and meditation in the morning, some visualizations and exercise, reading and scribing, and all those kinds of things, affirmations. And I started doing it, and I just started to wake up and do these things. And at first, I was just very doubtful of just this, a system for your morning.
Right.
Like, really?
Right.
it changed my life. I've never felt more productive in my whole life. And the beauty of this is I wake up and an hour later, even if I get nothing else done in the day, I've at least known that I've been productive already.
I love that you said that.
But
I
it
love
never
that you
stops.
said that.
I don't stop being productive. I keep going after that.
Exactly. Because you woke up with the focus of self-care. It seems like you're just going through this checklist of things that somebody in a book told you to do. And maybe the first day it was like that. But then as you go and you realize how much this routine is fueling your energy and how much more productive you are the rest of the day because you didn't roll out of bed, hit the snooze, like cram some really unhealthy food because you were like, oh crap, I have to be somewhere and do this. It's a totally different approach. What do you think? Do you still do all of those things? Or is there one thing that was like, I can't miss doing this every single morning?
The one thing I can't miss is the scribing or the journaling. The journaling, that was the one that I was least excited about. It's like, I'm going to be forcing myself to write a little note to myself every day. It's been the biggest game changer. And I use the 5-minute journal. I wake up and I focus on, okay, what are the 3 things I want to happen today and 3 things I'm grateful for to the day. Gratitude practice is huge.
Love the 5-minute journal. I will link to it because you guys have seen it on my Instagram.
And they have one for kids now, by the way.
Do they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
Oh my God, great holiday gift for kids.
Oh, for sure.
Is that your only journal? Is that your only scribe?
That's my only journal.
Okay.
And literally I have like 12 of them because
you fill them
all
up.
the cool people have them now. No, not 12 5-minute journals. I have like Shalene Johnson's Push Journal, Michael Hyatt's Focus Journal,
I see.
John Lee Dumas's Freedom Journal.
So you feel like you're having a conversation with all your friends.
You have to
in the
pick
morning?
one. You just got to pick one.
You can't do all of
it.
it. That's the thing. I will say that I get a little bit too crazy with my journals. I do both the 5-minute journal because it's 5
That's
minutes.
great. It's easy, yeah.
And I also do Julia Cameron's morning pages. So I will scribe for 3 pages straight.
Oh, awesome.
And that's cool because the 5-minute journal allows me to just fill in blanks, which is good for getting the brain going in the morning. And then morning pages, same thing. It's just dump everything out of your brain that you're thinking about that's not necessarily going to be
Do you share them with anybody?
No,
Oh
my gosh, no. I'd be mortified if anyone ever read my morning pages.
Hey, let's all rally and get Amy to publish that as a book. All right?
Yeah.
How it would sell.
I don't know
you would
about
change
that.
lives.
I do a lot of complaining because here's the thing. I don't want to do it in real
Sorry,
life.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't
You
want to
can
do it
curate
in
that.
real life.
You can
because,
curate
you know
it.
what I mean? Okay, I don't have to skim through it. Okay. All right, so how do you stay active? What's your favorite regimen for working out?
Well, the E in Savers from Miracle Morning is exercise.
Right.
And that was the hardest one for me to keep up with.
Why?
Because it was just, I don't want to do work. And I've already journaled, my hands hurt. And so now I want to sit and do work now. But gosh, the exercise is huge. Exercise is huge. And so to combat how hard it was, I hired somebody. His name is Jeff.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Jeff. He lives in Cincinnati, Ohio. And at 6:30 a.m., I'm in my garage, and he calls. I expect it every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And there he's like, Pat, you ready to work out? All right. I got to show up because he's going to call. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then he goes, all right, Pat, do 10 of these, and your form's a little off. So I'm getting personal training and accountability virtually.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that you need Jeff because you just
Yes.
really hate working out, or is it because you need an accountability partner?
It's B, yeah.
It is? Okay.
100% the
Have you
accountability
ever
partner.
taken the 4 Tendencies quiz by Gretchen Rubin?
Mm-mm.
It's all about kind of analyzing how you hold yourself accountable with your habits. So an upholder is held accountable both externally and internally. They will pretty much do what somebody asks them to do and also what they find to be important. There's questioners who only do something because they've decided it's important. An obliger is most likely to be held accountable only by somebody else asking them to do something, and they're harder to keep up with things like working out because there's nobody holding them accountable.
Yeah.
And then rebels pretty much just only know what they're going to eat for lunch. They don't feel held accountable either by their own drive or other people. So it sounds like at least in working out, maybe some other things, you sound a little bit like an obliger.
I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that does show up in my work as well.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So what is your workout with Jeff?
So it varies, and it depends on what my goals are. The other part about this is I need a reason to work out. So at first, actually, the reason that I'm working with Jeff is 4 years ago, I posted on Twitter, I would love to run a triathlon one day. That's all I posted.
Oh my gosh, I get so scared to post things.
then-
people will tell you, let me help.
Yeah,
And I'm
well,
like, oh gosh, you're amazing.
Jeff replied, and he was like, dude, I'd love to help you for free.
Wow.
I followed your stuff for years, and you've helped me out. Like, I'd just love to pay you back for that.
Good for Jeff, because it's not like you have to do everything for free. You are doing something of massive value, but sometimes just getting in the door with somebody that inspires you and could, like help you see things in a new way. Sometimes those are the best clients that you can get.
Oh, yeah.
Even if they're not necessarily paying you a
We've been
retainer.
together for 4 years now.
Amazing.
And I remember he always tells me, he's like, I didn't expect you to reply, bro. I'm like, yeah, but you asked, and that's always step one.
Right.
Good lesson for everybody out there. But
Right.
yeah, so did the triathlon. He actually flew to San Diego to watch me like fall on my bike on the way out of it was really funny.
Whoa.
But I finished the triathlon.
Good.
And then my next goal was to run a half marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And we trained for that. And then I trained to touch the rim of a regulation-sized basketball hoop. We trained for that. I increased my vertical by 15.5 inches as a result of his work.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
not touched the rim because I'm only like, 5'8" and Filipino. It's not in my genes. And everybody's
But
like,
you're trying
I'm
anyway,
trying.
which is incredible.
And as a byproduct of working on all the muscles I need to work on to jump higher, I'm now like a better basketball player as a result. So as a byproduct, like when I play ball with the guys, I can do pretty well now. Like little
I love
mugsy
that.
pokes.
What's your go-to thing for self-care? Obviously, waking up in the morning sounds like this taps into it, but is there anything else that maybe you just do for you?
Drink a load of water.
I didn't think you were going to end the sentence that way, to be honest with you, but okay, good. That's good. That's a good one.
No, I mean, gosh, like I do that. It's weird because people are like, oh, I have to drink water all day. But I'm like, no, I'm going to drink water because that's what's going to fuel me for all the crazy things I'm about to do to help me, stay on top of things or, deliver value to people in my office hours or things like that. I don't know if that's a weird answer.
No,
if
it's
that's what you're
not.
looking for,
No,
but, like,
it's never a weird answer if it helps
it's like
you.
the first thing I do in the morning after all the things are done and I'm ready to start the day. I take my, 40-ounce Hydro Flask and I just fill it up.
Love the
Fill
Hydro
that
Flask.
thing. Oh,
Such a
God.
fan.
And mine fades from like purple on the bottom to like teal at the top. I got
Oh,
it in
wow.
white.
Fancy.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That's great. So are you more of like the unscrew the top and just like guzzle water type of I have to have the straw
Oh,
type
do you?
of Hydro
No,
Flask.
I'm an unscrew and guzzle.
Oh, God, I'm not
because
a
that
guzzler.
thing gets like dirty.
Okay,
I've seen-
we all have our issues, right? I love it. This is why I like getting really specific. Okay.
We're into the details right now.
There's a lot of details. I want to give something sort of practical. Just you've had a lot of experience. You went after your dream job. You went to school for, and then you pivoted and you started a business, and then the podcast. You're insanely great at pumping out content. Your YouTube channel has taken off in a big way. We really didn't even talk about that. I mean, you had right now, if you can hear all the craziness that's going on, we're at Social Media Marketing World. Last year, you interviewed me in a Tesla on your YouTube
Yeah, that
channel
was fun.
when we were here, and that was such a blast. And now the Switch Pod, clearly video is taking a focus. With all of that, is there a resource, a book, like something specific that you could recommend if someone's thinking they're just trying to get a little bit more ambitious in their life? If Pat can do all the things, I just want to do one thing that I'm excited about that I haven't figured out the right motivation to get me going. Is there a book that's inspired you? Something like that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's been so many books.
Yeah.
To me, the most important book that I've ever read is actually called The One Thing.
Good
Greg
one.
Mercer and Jay Papasan. And it might sound funny that I'm recommending this book even though I don't do just one thing. But the truth is, and I'm glad we're talking about this because a lot of people see what I do now and all the things I have going on and they're like, I can do all the things like Pat does. And guess what? I didn't do all of these things at the same time. One thing led to another. I started my blog, and then a year later, after I mastered that and started hiring people to help me with that, then that gave me time to then focus on my podcast. And then I have a team of people who help me now with my podcast, which has given me time to invent a physical product. And then I'm working with Caleb and another set of people who know how to do all that stuff. And then that now allows to give me time to do some even more fun things on the YouTube channel. And I think what really matters is just realizing your one thing that's going to support your why. That's the part that I think people miss is like, oh, I just have to choose one thing and do it. Like
Right.
even like okay, I have this opportunity. That's going to be my one thing. But are you thinking 5 years ahead? If you were to actually succeed at that thing that you think you're working on for real purposes, 5 years down the road, could you wake up in the morning and be excited about that thing 5 years from now?
Or also give yourself the opportunity to decide, oh crap, that wasn't the right thing. That's
Yeah.
okay. Get away from it. You get one life. Like, what are you going to do continuing to waste time on something that turned out to not be the one right thing?
I think the best resource that you all have is yourself. To go out there and talk to people who have done what you want to do. And they're going to give you the real life in your way that you respond to, and you vibe with them. So what they say is going to really resonate with you. I mean, books are great, podcasts are great, but when you talk directly to somebody who's just like, even if it's just a sentence, and they are where you want to be, and they go, hey, what's the one piece of advice you have for somebody who's trying to be an Olympic swimmer? And Michael Phelps has written about this, obviously, but whatever he says, then you own, like, if that's truly what you want to be, then live that, be that.
I love
that.
that you said that, because I feel like I know what you're going to say, but what do you say to people who think what they want to do is oversaturated? Already done. There's lots of people already doing it. Somebody's already achieved that. Somebody already got the Olympic gold medal for that. Like, why bother?
Well, guess what? Whatever you're trying to do has been proven to be awesome. This is why everybody's there, because it's a great decision, and a lot of people want to do the same thing. So for people trying to start a business, they go, oh, there's so many people already serving that market, and there's already those products that I had ideas in my head. Like, there's no way I can compete. Well, first of all, you've just validated that there is a market there, for one. Remember when the Segway came out and they're like, we're going to reinvent walking, and like, it was a completely brand new niche.
I forgot about this segue.
And now you see him in San Diego, just
That's right.
walking up the boardwalk or whatever. That didn't work because, like, what you can do is take something that already exists and make it better. Different is better than better sometimes.
And you don't have to be first.
And you don't have to be first. You can, like, I would rather not be first.
Yeah,
right?
look at all the case studies.
The Switch Pod is not the first tripod.
It is not.
The Tesla was not the first electric car.
Pat, I'm not even going to be kidding with you right now. When you were like texting me and saying, I think I'm coming out with this really like next level tripod. I was like, what?
No, I remember because I texted you and I hope you're going to be like, oh, awesome. How can I support you? And then I got like blanks.
I was like, so what? I don't understand. Like, what do we do with that? What, like, and like, incredible what you've done. I mean, like, if you prove people who don't get it right away wrong, that's a bonus. Like, the fact that it works and that there's a community for it is like, that's all that matters. Staying focused on that.
Right, and actually that those blanks I got from you were really useful, because I would tell Kayla, like, hey, I shared this with a vlog. She wrote a book on vlogging and she doesn't get it. What can we do to make people like her get it? So we just made things simpler. We made the marketing messages match so that it would respond. Because we were
and I'm
literally...
a visual learner, so like I said, when I saw that video of the two of you and it was like, this is the difference between this one and that one, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, well,
like,
thank you.
Whoa. So,
I mean,
first of all, sorry. And second of
No,
all, like,
no, I mean, you
this
were
is,
helpful.
just really incredible. And thank you so much for sharing value today. I mean, just before I ask you a final question, where can everybody find all the things about you? What's the best way to do that?
Probably the best spot is my website at smartpassiveincome.com. I talk about all my business
Which is a
adventures
sexy
there.
URL, by the way.
Thank you. And the other places are at Pat Flynn on most social media channels. Instagram, I'm having a lot of fun on Instagram lately.
Love Instagram. We're like YouTube, Instagram happy right now, aren't we?
Who does your IG stories?
Oh, I will hook you up. My designer is
Oh my gosh.
dabomb.com.
Every time I see it, I'm like,
my
I gotta
videos,
step up.
I still do a little bit of that stuff on my own, but my graphics.
Just the visual. Oh my gosh.
Nancy is my girl.
Nancy, you are the bomb.
Holla. Nancy, everyone's asking about you at Social Media Marketing World, by the way. Anyway, okay. Thank you so much for spending time with me.
Thank
I
you.
acknowledge you. I really appreciate you. I'm so pumped for you. And I would just like to hear your answer to the following question. What does it mean to you to go after the life that you want?
Stay in your happy lane. That's all. So many people are doing things just because somebody else told them what to do, or because that's what they thought they were supposed to grow up to do. But you have to meditate and be present and listen to yourself. Are you happy? And if you're not, go get happy. That's it. Go get happy.
Go get happy. Pat Flynn, thanks for being
It's
here.
my new podcast.
I love it.
No, I was kidding.
Go get. Oh gosh, just new ideas all the time over here. Thanks for being here, Pat.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, let's catch the details. First, Pat was not all or nothing when he first started this business. He was still grappling with finding a replacement job while building the business. It wasn't like a flip of a switch. It wasn't simple. And a lot of times we do feel like everyone makes it sound so simple. Just, oh, you got laid off? Oh, you left your job? It's okay. Just start a business and focus on it. Yes, you need to have your focus somewhere that you believe in. But you know what? It's not always that simple. And he was still looking for jobs until his boss called and said, hey, I do have an opportunity for you. And that is when he realized he knew where his focus should actually be. So don't give yourself a hard time if you do go through this decision-making process, but do remember that that moment is going to come and you're going to have to decide for yourself. I also love that he brought up to read 1,000 True Fans, which is a great blog post by Kevin Kelly. This is groundbreaking on a lot of levels because when you think about creating a culture, creating a tribe, and saying, you know what, I want to make the difference for these people. I want to start a business off the back of this. I want to build a community. We think it has to be millions, and we have a hard time when it's just 10. But if you think about the fact that your goal should be 1,000, and if there's 1,000 true fans that are really there for you, that it can change the game for you, this is a lot more feasible for those of us just getting started. So take a look at that blog post because I think it will really change your perspective on this. And of course, check out the Switch Pod. This was not something I thought was going to be super exciting because to me, tripods are just kind of tripods in my world. They exist, they're necessary, but I didn't think they could get better. And guess what? They got better. And I'm so excited about this. I was one of the backers on the Kickstarter and I bought quite a few because I wanted to support my friend Pat. And I'm going to give away 3 Switch Pods to listeners of this podcast. All you have to do to enter to win is live in the United States and then pop over to my Instagram at Schmitastic. This is not going to be on the Detail Therapy Instagram. This is my personal Instagram. I want you to comment on my latest photo with the hashtag SwitchPod, please. And I will be DMing the winners at the end of this week. There will be 3 winners here in the US. So if you would like a Switch Pod, whenever I get them delivered to me, which right now they're just a backed Kickstarter, so keep that in mind. I'm not dropping it in the mail this week. I'm just picking winners this week. You just got to leave me a comment on my Instagram and I will choose the winners. How exciting. I cannot wait till we get these things. They're going to be game changers. This was such a fun episode. I hope you're enjoying the segments with Christy. She will be back. And Pat, thank you so much for being on the show. It's a total honor to have a podcaster like you on this little area of the podcasting world. Hey, if you're listening to this and you love advice straight to your earbuds, then maybe you'd like something else from me. Some simple steps for living your best life every day. I'd love to send you my free audio training with the 7 essential details for going after the life you want. To receive this audiogram, subscribe to the podcast, take a screenshot to show that you have subscribed, and then email that screenshot to hello@detailspodcast.com with audiogram, please, in the subject line. Have you noticed a trend here? Switch pod, please. Audiogram, please. We'll get that right over to you as soon as you do. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. If you'd like to discover more actionable details, head over to AMYTV by typing the URL in your browser, youtube.com/AMYTV, or search for Amy Landino in your YouTube app. Subscribe for good vibes, kiss the ones you love, and go after the life you want. Cheers.